You sent one? Oh, okay. Did I get it? I didn't see it, but. Okay, it's 4 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Andrew just made it. I'd like to have a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Brian? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Do we have any public comment?
Tom Wagner, and I did send all three of you, plus Mr. King, some photos. I don't know if you received them or not.
Just got it.
Okay. Anyway, Brian, you covered the area that I live in. Those photos that I sent you are from your area. And I did ask the question, is that acceptable? Also, on one of the photos that I sent was rock that was placed in February. And on that meeting, I had heard that trucks were hauling rock, and it's like, is the snow over with? Well, no, it wasn't. And so the photos do show where some of that rock is. And there again, is that acceptable? And there again, is there training that needs to be done? Does there need to be communication from the leader? Is the problem communication? Is it comprehension? Or is it capability in the operation of the machine? And those areas were two different areas. And I'm pretty sure that's two different operators, two different machines, I do believe.
JD, do you want to answer that? The microphone's right there if you want to.
Test.
I think it's working.
We'd never like to lose rock top, but sometimes in the operation of pushing snow, even though we leave our blades off the ground or off the surface, we have unincorporated rock that's moved off the road, yes. We like it? No, but that's just part of moving snow. I've never not had rock leave the roadway during the winter time.
I've lived here in the county longer than you have. I've witnessed a lot of things, okay? So I don't take that. That's not the answer. Is it yes or no? Is it acceptable? But we had, back in 2020, I do believe, right up there on M63, where rock was 8-10 foot from the toe of the slope, not the edge of the shoulder. You told Chuck Morris that you're going to use a retriever and get that rock. Well, he was either very gullible or he overestimated your knowledge, because nobody's going to do that. I said at the time, if anybody in this county can do that, then they must be able to walk on water. And I don't think anybody in this county can do that.
Let's be respectful, Tom. Please.
That's a valid statement. That means nobody in this county can do it.
Let's just be respectful.
Okay. So anyway, and you want to talk about being respectable, in February of 23, you were quoted as saying,
let's not go back.
You were going to do your best for the county. Is this the best that can be done?
You've brought it to our attention. We'll do the best we can do.
How's come it has been repeated over and over? Has there been any communication? Has there been any conversation? I know you had a safety meeting. You talk about things. I hope you talked about certain things, but do you show those pictures? Do you talk to employees? You show them photos and say, this is what happened. Seeing is believing. But anyway, on safety, is there any minutes from that meeting that you had a week ago where you had people gave suggestions for safety? Was there any meeting or any minutes from that meeting?
I believe this was an entirely different meeting.
You talked about public, you talked about employees. And I know something was said, I think you made the statement after that Pete Stansberry thought there should be a committee.
This is a totally different thing. The meeting they had was totally different than what you're talking about.
We're talking about safety.
But we're talking about a different type of meeting that they held that was for the public.
Well, roadway is safety.
Action plan. It was the safety action plan that the consultants put
Okay.
together for Page County.
Because while we're on the subject of management of the roads, we had a job that was finalized. We had were not placed for over a year. Does that come up in your safety meeting? Does the insurance carrier have any concern about that?
Tom, I think you're talking about gravel on the road or gravel off the road and
Correct. It's management. It's management, Judy.
and I'm sure they'll work on that.
So this is the best you can do.
It's the best we can do at this point.
Okay, I'm here on public comment. I'll send you and Mr. King questions, and I'll see if I get an answer, or
I think JD already sent you an answer.
I'll send an email and I'll see if I get specific answers,
Okay.
okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you. Do we have other public comment?
Good afternoon, Page County Supervisors. I'm happy to be back here again. When I was last here,
Do you
right before.
want to give us your name, Dan?
I'm sorry, thank you. My name is Dan Litchfield. I'm representing Shenandoah Hills Wind Project and Invenergy. And when I was last here at the end of November, right before Thanksgiving, we reached an agreement on the settlement of the litigation. And so I'm here to provide an update, to introduce our customer, Mid-American, and three, make one ask of you. So since signing the settlement agreement, we have made good on our promises in that. We have dismissed the lawsuits against the county. We have confirmed the turbine locations and the specific models. And we have begun the neighbor agreement outreach. We have contacted 100% of the adjacent property owners. We've actually got, there's 68 total, 4 signed, 7 no, 19 considering, and the balance still waiting to hear from them. So we're making good on the settlement agreement. And a very exciting new chapter for the project. I'm here to introduce some representatives from Mid-American Energy. They are poised to be the customer of ours and the new owner of the project. They will take the project through construction and then into operations. So just real briefly on background, this will be the 14th project in the state of Iowa we've worked together with them on. And the structure here is they will take over the project. They will assume the rights and obligations of the land agreements, settlement agreement, the decommissioning agreement, the CWAC's approval, and they will build the project and then own and operate it. And the one request we have of you today is to consent to assign the road use agreement to Mid-American. The way that was set up, it requires Board of Supervisors approval, and that's what we're here to ask for today. There's no changes contemplated in the agreement. They will follow the terms of the agreement, and we're just asking for your approval for that. So I think someone from Mid-American will speak next, but if you have any questions for me, I can take them now.
Did you want to
I mean, this isn't an item on the agenda. I didn't know if you wanted to do that during the agenda item. But, because I have lots of questions about how this transpired, especially after, I think you've said a lot of times when you've been here in the past that, Invenergy was here for the long haul. This is a project that Invenergy is going to stick with. Because I think we brought it up that, you're just going to turn around and sell it. And you said, no, we build good neighbors. We're here for the long haul. What changed in that? Why all of a sudden, before the project even is built, what made that change?
I don't remember specifically saying we would be here for the long haul, we would build the project. I think the intent of my comments was we approach things as if they are for the long haul. Invenergy is operating all over the country, and a number of our projects, we are going to own and operate the project for the long term. So we approach every development with that mindset of we want to make agreements that are lasting and are going to make sense for the long term. And in this case, the long term will be with Mid-American, not with us.
And does that have any impact on our easement payments to customers or the people that you're renting land from that have the turbines on their property, and the good neighbor agreements that you've put in place once they take over?
Great question. No, there'll be no changes.
And does that change the tax of how it goes from, I think, 5% or 3% the first year, the year after to up to 30%? Does that change for what we will get as a county?
No, I don't think there's been any change with that structure. The assessed value increasing every year up to 30% is the program in place by state law and a county ordinance. I think some folks from Mid-American might be able to give you more specific or precise projections now that the plans are fairly firm. But there's no change in the payment rates to landowners or to the county and the other taxing bodies based on the ownership change.
And they're going to be able to stick to the set off or the setback as we agreed upon in our agreement, as far as all the turbines where we moved them on the maps. They're not going to change locations. Mid-American does not have the ability to go in and change locations as far as where we've decided on setting those up.
Correct. They do not. They will adhere to the terms and conditions of the agreements we have negotiated.
I guess the other thing is, does Mid-American then, does it at some point become a public utility? It is, but then isn't that change the tax of how it's given to the county, or maybe, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, good afternoon, Kelsey Ballard with Mid-American Energy Company. I'll speak to that question if you have any others, and then I do have some prepared comments as well. So in the state of Iowa, generally utility operating property is part of Iowa's replacement tax program. And that is, I believe, what you're referring to, where substations, wires, poles, other types of generation are taxed through that replacement tax construct, where it goes to the state and then comes to the county. The state of Iowa carved out a different mechanism for taxing of wind, and that tax is the same regardless of what company owns and operates utility scale wind turbines. And so that would be the same whether it's built by Invenergy or, in this case, Mid-American, but wind turbines are taxed differently than utility property otherwise.
Did you have other comments? Go ahead.
Yeah.
I'll let you guys do your comments.
Okay, sure. So as I mentioned, I'm Kelsey Ballard with Mid-American Energy Company, and we are excited to be here in Page County. We're excited about investing here with our 39th wind project. The Shenandoah Hills Wind Project is an important generation addition to Mid-American. continuing to invest in projects like this are part of our all of the above energy approach. It's an approach that over the last several decades has helped keep our rates low and stable and has helped make Iowa an energy leader in the country. So we're excited not only about those opportunities with the project, but also about the benefits that this project will bring to Page County and the surrounding areas. And standing here tonight, I want to recognize that this has been a long process and a lot of you have put in a lot of work to get to this point. And so in recognizing that, I also want to mention that, as Dan said, Mid-American is aware of the various agreements and stipulations in place for constructing this project and also throughout operations and decommissioning. And we do agree to abide by those, including those land agreements you asked about. So with that, I'll just move into kind of next steps for us. We are finalizing our plans now to begin construction on this project over the next month or two. The plan would be to start that construction in Fremont County and then move to Page County, and some of the work will be ongoing across both counties at the same time. Turbine deliveries generally to the project area are expected right now to begin in June. And again, a lot of those things are weather dependent. So, whether we have a wet early spring, a wet late spring, or wet all the way into summer, those timelines may shift a little bit. But our goal is to have all of these turbines complete by the end of this calendar year. So we're excited about that. We know that that means a lot of ongoing communication and coordination with the county. And so we're here today to make sure that that starts strong, and we had conversations with JD and are just making sure that we have the right connections to make sure if folks have questions of us, you know who to reach out to. So with that, I thank you all for your time, and just as Dan is happy to answer any questions either now or during the agenda item.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there any other public comment?
Cindy Van Fossen. I was here last week asking some questions about the budget for fiscal year 26, and I'm hoping that tonight during the budget discussion we'll hear a few more figures about with what's going to happen with the fiscal year 26 budget because of the extra week. I've done some preliminary calculations myself, and with the increases that have been said might happen, I do not understand how there's going to be enough property tax coming in to help cover all those increases that are going to be happening. I do understand there's other revenue coming in. For instance, the treasurer has said that with the state law that changed, she could possibly see some more revenue coming in her department. But with the valuations, and if you would stick with the same levy rate as last year, the dollars just don't add up. So I'm just really hoping that we hear some more discussion and some more transparency to the public tonight. Thank you.
And I find it interesting, Cindy, that you bring up this, the budget, because we're way behind on budget because while you were a short-term auditor, you didn't start the budget. That's why we're way behind. You didn't get it done. And I also find it interesting that while you were here, you were one of those who asked for a 4% increase in your particular salary, plus a 1.5% merit, plus also asking for 100% interest, 100% insurance paid. So I'm finding this very interesting that you asked for all of this and you're asking for things to be cut. And those are just my comments. So let's move on to JD.
Good afternoon. JD King, Page County Engineer. very fine day in Page County for last week in February. People are running around in short sleeve shirts. We received the engineer's update yesterday afternoon. As of the last couple of days, no blades have been out, no trucks are hauling rock or burning brush piles. That'll change. We're losing our moisture in the fields. So we'll be back with the blades tomorrow. We did some safety training today in Council Bluffs. We're gonna do some flagger training at Corning tomorrow with 8 guys. Got a couple of trucks in Omaha. Had a dealer come down and look at number 41. And we're washing plow trucks a couple at a time, thorough cleaning, and rotate them through. Our skid steer, the John Deere skid steer. We'll have warranty work done on the tracks to replace them. Got a photo of the project up by Essex. Crew's back on the job. You notice on the TV screen, we got a third of a bridge with beams on the south span. Certainly a milestone for the project. We have the north pier yet to do. The column that'll be placed tomorrow, and the camp next week with good weather. We had a safety action plan workshop on last week. 19 people attended. Shenandoah Hills Wind Project is stop by. And there's some federal aid overview training tomorrow in Denison for 2 days. Questions for me?
I'm happy you had so many people show up for your safety workshop, your planning. That was great.
Did you feel like that was a success?
Yes, and
Got a lot of good ideas.
It'll be more success when we see their plan, and edge ruts on pavements was a reoccurring theme. So that'll be part of our plan.
Can you send out like a summary of what some of the things we're talking about there?
I can.
It'd be interesting to see what ideas and things were talked about.
This is headed up by a consultant. The county engineers together as an association put in for a grant to have a consultant work on this safety action plan, which is, federal speak for, that's the way you get money these days. Yeah. To have a plan first.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, JD. Okay, next we have our Page County Library's annual report. Carrie.
Carrie Falk, Shenandoah Public Library. So I'm going to pass out the annual report for all of the Page County libraries, but I'm also going to include some things for Shenandoah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I always appreciate the opportunity that we have to come in and share with you what's going on in the Page County libraries over the past year. What I'm going to talk about today, if you were at the Library and Legislative Evening in Essex back in January, this is going to be a repeat of that, but it's the same song and dance. So hopefully you'll catch some new stuff. So through the report, there's some things that I wanted to highlight. So all 4 Page County libraries are here at the meeting, and I'm going to do the report for all of us, but then each library is going to get up and kind of give you a little overview of what's gone on in their particular libraries. So I just wanted to start out with, we had almost 95,000 visitors through the door of our libraries this year, so that is about a 10% increase, and that averages out to 316 people a day are entering one of the 4 libraries in Page County, which I think is really exciting. Speaking to rural patrons in Page County, we did have a 12% increase in items borrowed from rural patrons, so just a little over 9,000 items were checked out to rural patrons this past year. We also saw a 10% increase in visitors to the library's websites. We saw a 43% increase in usage of public meeting rooms. So we had 809 public meetings in the meeting rooms at the Page County libraries. We saw a 20% increase in people using our computers and our Wi-Fi access. And just so that you know, because you guys did help fund the hotspots that the libraries have, we have checked out our hotspots 684 times this past year. That's 13 hotspots a week. And just to let you know, both Clarendon and Shenandoah have 12 hotspots each. Essex has 2, and Coyne has 1 hotspot. So these are really popular items, and they really help out people who do not have internet and Wi-Fi access at home otherwise. So one of the other things that I did want to point out to you is, between the libraries, we were averaging about 300 days a year that the libraries are open. And we had, over this past year, 15,185 people attend programs at the libraries. That's more than our county population. So that means everybody in the county basically has attended at least one library program. We had 985 programs between the 4 libraries, and that means that we're also averaging 3 programs a day. So no wonder we all feel very busy, and it's really exciting to see so many people coming through the doors of our public libraries. And I know that when you talk to the others, I think you're going to hear the same thing. What we saw in Shenandoah over the past year, and you do have a copy of our annual report, is we are back to the 2018-19 levels of seeing people through the door in activities and programs. And so that's a really nice thing to finally, feel like we're over that hump of COVID, and we're starting to be back to where we were before, and seeing people returning to the library and using it a lot. One thing on the budget, I did want to point out that between the income and costs there, we actually have spent 8% more than we did the previous year, and that is in spite of the fact that we had a 5.5% decrease from public funding, so from cities, counties, other things, and we saw almost double an increase from private gifts and donors. So that's where that money was made up, was from people giving either to the library foundations or bequests or gifts to the libraries to fund certain projects. And so I wanted to point that out to you, that we, again, are doing more with less, unfortunately, but that seems to be the trend. So I don't have a whole lot else that I want to talk about specifically about Shan. I did give you a copy of our March schedule, and so you can see the programs and events that are going to be going on at the library. Of course, you can always check out our website and our Facebook page as well to see what is going on, and we would love to have you come to any of our programs. Do you have any questions for me about either the Page County report or Shenandoah specifically?
How's your construction going?
Very slowly right now.
Very slowly.
Although I did get to go down to Bix Fabrication on Friday to see the shake plates, and those look really cool. So we're very excited. Hopefully within the next few weeks they will start preparing for the steel erection.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
Terrence?
Andrew Hoffman with the League Public Library here in Florinda. I kind of will echo, like Gary said, a lot of things. We're continuing to see increases in foot traffic. I do have a copy of our annual report. I'll hand that out to you guys, and I'll explain what is attached to it too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I'm most excited about 2024 was that here in Florinda, the library was a key player in the Vision 35 visioning process for the community. Not only were we able to get a lot of feedback and see what people want from their community, we actually took that information and developed our long-range strategic plan for the library that I feel really leans into that feedback, that information, those service focus groups and surveys that Vision 35 put out. I was actually just working on that this afternoon to kind of make my timeline of what do I need to start doing at the library and everything to get our surveys out and to start doing some programming. But what I'm excited too about that is there's lots of opportunities for partnerships with our organizations here in Florinda, but also regionally. As you notice, we work together as libraries very well. I will highlight that actually starting later this week, we are going to launch a new audiobook service. That's a partnership between Florinda and Shenandoah. That partnership allowed us to offer this new digital ebook service, but also help negotiate the cost down by about 40%. So be prepared and watch for that, hopefully end of this week, early next week, when we will be announcing that. Otherwise, the last thing that I want to say that I'm looking forward to ties to our little reflective light and keychain. We are in the process of finishing up our book bike. A book bike is a tool, a vehicle that we'll be able to take out into the community and bring the library to people. We are continuing to see increases of people coming to our library, but we also understand sometimes you have to go to where the people are. So we'll be able to kind of bike to the baseball fields or to the nursing home and take our programming, take our books, or just take our calendar of events and try to tap into people that don't really necessarily always know what's going on at the library. But as Carrie said, when we're doing 3 programs a day and seeing 300 people through the door, there's a lot going on at the library. So we just really want to make sure everyone's aware of what's going on. The last thing I'll highlight is we did provide our funding request a few weeks ago prior to you guys working on the budget. Our funding request for the next fiscal year remains unchanged. But if you do have questions about that, you can let me know or Carrie, and I'll turn it over to either Coyne or Essex. Thank you.
Thanks.
Tammy Horn, and I'm with Coyne Library. I don't have our budget done yet. Of course, I work full-time, and our library is 100% volunteer. We are open 6 days a week, 3 to 4 hours a day, and it is all 100% volunteer-based. We are open 2 nights a week, Mondays and Thursdays, and that is for homework help. We are in the process of digitizing old microfilm and some of our old records to be available online. But we do partner up with Coyne Fire, for community programs such as Buzzer Days and Halloween, so that we can get out there into the community a little bit more. Right now, we are working on a remodeling project for our library. It is long overdue. It needs to be refreshed. New paint and some new shelves, and that's being funded by our May Day breakfast. So remember, when May Day rolls around, please come down and join us for breakfast that day and donate. So we continue to do ISU programs with Emily. Some of the new programs that we've had, we're trying to offer some more adult programs. We just finished up a crocheting class, and that's now going into a once a month get together knitting and crocheting group. We found that was really well received for us down there. And we're going to be offering a seed starting class here March 7th, I believe. We also have a tie-dyeing class, and then we do kids reading summer programs as well. And then last minute this year, we also opened up our building to the children for a New Year's Eve program, and we offered games for the kids in the community. And we plan on advertising that a little bit more this next coming year, so that we can maybe be more well received. We also had Michelle Cowan, author, come and do her book, Better Not Bitter, which I believe all the other libraries did too. That was really well received in our community, and we had a really good turnout. And I believe that's all we have going for us right now, but we are trying to add a whole lot more, on a volunteer basis. It's hard to get a whole lot added, but with all the, donations and stuff, that's how we kind of keep our little library going, so.
That's a lot.
If you have any questions, just let us know.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Tammy.
I'm Sabrina from the Lead Library in Essex, and I have our annual report to pass out. Thank you. Thanks, Sabrina. As with everyone else, thank you so much for the extra money a couple of years ago to fund our hotspots. We check those out, and the people who use them, they're very beneficial, so thank you. Some of the things on our county report, we worked with the ISU Extension Office, and they came once a month and did projects for us last summer and in the spring. We have not gotten that scheduled yet because they had to change in directors. So we look forward to adding them back to our schedule in the summer coming up. Some of our figures, we had 4,534 visitors come through the door in Essex in the calendar year. Just so everyone knows, there are 722 people that live in Essex. So we have been drawing many repeat customers and people from other towns. We have 901 card holders and 80 rural card holders, and we checked out 4,102 items to total and 876 to rural customers. We had a total of 303 programs with 1,800 people attending those programs. Some of the things that we've been doing for outreach, I go on Friday mornings and read story time to the daycare, which they enjoy. And last summer, we started a program where the school-age children could come to the library during nap time from the daycare, so they didn't have to be so quiet. We did games, read a book, and some of those things. We have also adjusted a couple hours. We now open at 1 o'clock on Friday afternoons because school lets out early. That gives the children an opportunity to come from school to the library and hang out instead of having to wait until 3 o'clock. That's been very popular. I did not realize how busy Fridays would be. We also have a highlight on Friday afternoons we do a movie matinee and we serve popcorn to them. And that seems to be a huge hit for the kids. Last summer, we had lots of fun summer activities. We also we planted plants and we grew candy, which was a huge turnout for that. We tried to make sugar crystals on the sticks so that it would be like the original rock candy. Ours did not turn out so good, but we offset it with, I bought a bucket of rock candy so they knew what it was supposed to look like. So if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
I am just amazed. I gush every year when the library does their report because, it's no longer just about books. It's everything. And every time I see something on Facebook about the libraries, it's amazing. As I say, I gush because I saw the book bike. And you didn't elaborate on that, but there really is a book bike that has been built that you're putting books in this trailer and going around with it. And it's amazing. And I understand we're going to go to Coin next year for our little travel around. So I think that will be very interesting. It's been years since I've been down there to the Coin Library, so I'm sure it's changed a lot. After you get everything done. But yeah, it's just amazing what you all do. And in our local option tax budget for this year, you asked for more and we have put in for more. So I guess we did that this year. So it hasn't increased it, and hopefully we'll leave it there. So thank you so much for coming, and we appreciate it. And you in the audience ought to all be amazed at what they do. So it's I gush. So anyway, I think everybody should with what the libraries are doing. So our next agenda item is appoint a member to the Page County Conservation Board. And I see Mark is here. Do you have anything you want to say? Nothing, okay. Okay, well, I had a phone call this week from Larry Shum, and he has pulled his name out. Larry Shum as one of the people. He was one of the people who had applied for the position. And he said, since he's retirement age, he has a lot of other things to do. And he felt like he would still be coming to the meetings and still be a part of things that, you know, the Conservation Board does, and would be coming and giving his input. But he felt like the other two were good candidates. And so the Conservation Board has flipped it back to us. Thank you so much. Anyway, so we have two candidates, Zachary James and Ricky Rivers. And the Conservation Board had the three candidates come to the meeting last week, interviewed them, and they said all of the candidates were good.
They all have great abilities in different areas. Some, you know, not everybody excels in the same areas, but they all had very beneficial things that they could add to the Conservation Board.
Okay.
And we encourage them to make the board to go ahead and volunteer.
Okay. Okay. So I will turn it over to Brian and Todd for your input.
Yeah, I thought they all the comments and things about their interviews and stuff, and I was glad that they all three came and got a chance to talk to the Conservation Board, and it sounds like there's really no wrong person. I had talked to Mark the other night. I would make the recommendation that Zachary James be on. And the only reason is I personally know Zach. I've known him for a long time. He worked at Pella for a long time. Really nice, smart young kid. He's young. He's got a lot of good ideas, I think. A lot of things that could probably be instrumental and helpful to the Conservation Board. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay.
Well, the thing I see is how many hours do they need? How many hours? So it just varies.
It varies from time to time. Normally a couple hours a month for meetings. Sometimes we get in volunteer projects where, you know, we've had some of our board members go out and work on cabins when we were setting them up. Danielle Miller did that, and she spent a lot of time. But normally, you know, it's about like any other deal.
Okay, that's about all I see between the two anyway, just the surface.
Okay. Okay.
So I'd take Todd's recommendation.
Okay. So you'll second that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay. Okay. All in favor of Zachary James as being the nominee for the Conservation Board?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Zach James then is the new member of the Conservation Board member. Or I guess we all vote. So yes, all in favor, I'll say. I guess we all voted yes. So Zach James will be the new member of Conservation Board. Okay. All right. Now we'll move on to, we have Maggie on for the jail bonds that we had this afternoon, or this morning, I guess. So Maggie, we'll turn it over to you.
Sounds great, everyone. Thanks so much. I'm Maggie Berger with Spear Financial. We did receive bids this morning for $7,700,000 of general obligation county jail bond series 2025. You'll recall this takes us now to the total limitation of what you asked through referendum for the voters to approve for your jail project. This is the second borrowing of that jail project. We are recommending out of the 6 bids that were received that you would award to BOK Financial Securities out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin at a true interest rate of 3.6636%. This is a fantastic rate in today's market. We've also included in our award packet the Moody's ratings report. I appreciate the time that the county spent providing a 1-hour phone call with the Moody's analysts, as well as all of the detailed information, financial and otherwise, that Moody's was looking for as part of this process. The county was reaffirmed at the AA3 rating. That's the same rating that you had last year and you've seen in the past. And that's very good. It talks about your strengths. We highlight that, a decline in fund balance below 25% of revenue can always lead to a downgrade. I've said it before. Moody's and rating agencies love cash. They want to make sure that you're holding on to cash and keeping sufficient fund balances. They also talk about how your budgeting process is conservative, and they like that, where you maybe budget your expenses a little higher, your revenues a little bit lower, and you're ending the year, where you really said you were going to, or maybe even a little bit more to the positive. And so again, that report is good information. Iowa counties have a great, strong institutional structure to them because you have a little bit of flexibility in the amount that you can raise the taxes if you needed to. And again, they like cash, so they like that ability. We've broken down all of the bids that have come in. As you can see, all of the bids that we received today have an interest rate of 4%. And there is going to be what we call premium dollars. So out of the $7,700,000 that you're issuing and you will repay, you will actually receive $220,000 more than that number. Again, not money that you have to repay. That is premium dollars. And they pay those premium dollars to you up front so that they can take and buy that interest rate down from 4% and get you into that 3.66% range, because that's really where they felt the market was today. Every bidder that bid on your deal today was willing to pay you a little bit of a premium, except for Hilltop at the bottom. They were going to issue the bonds at a discount, which they could have done as well. But that's really what put them in last place today. We would recommend that you would sell to the low bidder. By state law. You either accept the low bid interest rate or reject all bids. And we think today was a great day in the market, and we would not suggest that you would, reject the bids. These bonds will be callable after June 1st of 2032. And that just means at that time, if interest rates are below 4%, there might be an opportunity to refund the bonds out to the same maturity as they're scheduled right now, and save a little bit of interest. At that time, if you don't want to do that, or interest rates aren't favorable, you don't have to. That's also the time, though, that you could prepay or pay down on the bonds if you had some money ahead. If you had a lot of money ahead, you could pay them off at that date. And that just is, the date is out there because these are investments. The investors want to know they're going to hold their investment for a certain amount of time. And typically, on this large of an issuance, it's a few years before you're able to utilize extra money or, be able to refund something out anyways. So I'd answer any questions that you have, but we would ask that you approve the resolution on your agenda from the Dorsey and Whitney firm for BOK Financial at the 3.6636%.
Thanks, Maggie. I would entertain a motion to approve BOK Financial at the rate of 3.663634%.
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve that BOK Financial.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor of that motion?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you all very much. I really appreciate you allowing me to zoom in this evening.
Thanks, Maggie. We appreciate it, and we appreciate the time this morning that it took to do that. So
Wonderful. Well, thank you
we're
very much. You
thrilled.
all have a good evening.
Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that was really good this morning. Kristen and I sat in on that, and it was good. And with the premium, the 220,000, that's excellent also. So that's very good. So we will sign that resolution and we'll move ahead. Okay. Our next item is the discussion of the Shenandoah Hills Wind Project. Okay, and I have spoken to our county attorney, Jim Farley, and also to Dan Litchfield, and I'm going to, on Jim's recommendation, the Board of Supervisors has received notice of a planned transfer in the ownership of the Shenandoah Hills Wind Project to Mid-American Energy Company. Shenandoah Hills and Mid-American provided documentation signed by both parties verifying that Mid-American will accept and abide by the terms governing the CWEX approval and the associated agreements between Page County and Shenandoah Hills. The road use agreement between Page County and Shenandoah Hills Wind requires that Shenandoah Hills obtain approval from the board before assigning it to another party. Shenandoah Hills has satisfied its obligations to Page County concerning the transfer of the project. Approving the assignment of the road use agreement and acknowledging the assignment of any other approvals or agreements related to the CWEX approval is consistent with Page County's obligations under the settlement agreement with Shenandoah Hills Wind. I therefore move that the board approve the transfer of the road use agreement for the project to Mid-American and acknowledge and advise Mid-American that pursuant to the CWEX approval and the settlement agreement, it is authorized to proceed with construction of the CWEX project and all associated facilities, including turbines, collection lines, ADLS structures, and all other project components without need for additional permits or approvals, except for generally applicable building permits, utility permits, entrance permits, and right-of-way permits as needed. And I would need a second on that.
I have one other question. And Dan or
Could we have a second on that before we move ahead?
We can't. Oh.
So we can have a discussion then.
Okay, I'll second.
Okay. Now we can have a discussion.
Now we can have a discussion?
Yes.
Okay. Just question on, I know I don't believe there is some litigation still maybe going on in Fremont, not maybe. How does that impact the project as far as Mid-American taking on any litigation that's involving Invenergy if Invenergy does not have the project anymore?
Yes.
How does that work?
Christy Rogers, I'm counsel for Shenandoah Hills Wind, and I can speak to that. There is no longer any active litigation regarding any permits or any ordinances in either county. The only remaining litigation concerns, there were some sanctions that were granted. They were against opposing counsel for filing frivolous lawsuits, and that is on appeal, but that's not related to the permit or to any ordinance, so that will stay with Shenandoah Hills Wind.
Okay. Thank
And
you.
there's no possibility of invalidating anything from that. I guess there is one other piece that is unrelated to, again, the permit or to any ordinance, which is the Open Meetings Act claims in Fremont have been remanded to the district court there. So those will just concern whether there was any open meetings violations, and because of the timing of the lawsuit in Fremont County, there's no possibility of invalidating, again, the ordinance or the permit. So there's nothing further that would imperil the project in any way, and Mid-American and Shenandoah Hills are working together to make sure that those are taken care of. Okay.
And my last question would be, hopefully everybody's in agreement that, we went back to the and some of the ordinance just for this part of the project. We still have an ordinance that we created that updated for any projects going forward, and that is not going to be impacted by this project, right? It's not able to leapfrog and grow.
No.
They have to stay within the confinements of this project.
That's correct.
Okay.
So think of it this way, not only did they acquire, the project, that kind of general entity or, the ability to build it, but every obligation and every right, that's what they acquired. So, every obligation they had to you, every obligation they have to the landowners, that's what was acquired in this transaction, or will be. So, everything that Shenandoah Hills Wind needed to do, Mid-American will do. And Mid-American has the same rights that Shenandoah Hills Wind had, including with regard to the settlement agreement and what you've agreed to there, but nothing further.
Okay, thank you.
Does that take care of everything, Todd?
Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Just real quick, Christy's spot on, but a few days ahead of herself. So Mid-American has not closed on the purchase of the project. That's one of the things that we're here to talk about tonight and work through this motion so that then the project can be purchased by Mid-American. So we're just a couple days out, but as soon as that transfer takes place, absolutely everything that she said would apply.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, kind of went back and forth on tenses there. Sorry about that, guys. Thank you.
Okay, so we needed to vote on that motion. Okay, so we've had a motion and a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Aye. Motion carried. So that has carried. Okay. So do we have any further discussion on anything that you need? Nothing? Okay. Okay, that motion has carried then. All right. So we will now be working with Mid-America and finishing up with Invenergy, right? Okay. Everything's all taken care of? Yep. Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, now we'll move on to board communication. Do we have anything, Todd?
I've got a SWPCO meeting Thursday.
Okay. SWPCO Thursday. Todd? Did Golden Hills get a hold of you?
Send me an email, yep.
Okay,
And we did have a E911 and EMA public hearing last night
okay.
for their budgets.
Budget hearings, okay. That went okay,
Yeah, there are some things that we can discuss later on
okay.
that I'll just save. for
Let's
now.
save for,
Until we get to the budget
Okay,
discussion, so
okay.
then it won't.
okay.
But
Okay, all right. Okay. No other board communication, okay. Moving on to claims.
Make a motion, we approve the claims.
Okay, do I have a second? Todd, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carried. Okay. Do we have meeting minutes, Kristen? Did we have?
Yeah, I put them on the website.
Oh, I missed them. Okay, I missed them. Yeah, okay. Did you guys see them?
I did not. 'Cause
Okay, I didn't
see
either.
them in my email, but I didn't check the website either, so.
Yeah, I didn't see them. Do you want to wait till next week?
Is that all right?
Yeah,
Wait, and
we
then
can wait till next week if that's
read-
okay.
Read through them, okay.
Okay, we'll wait till next week on the 8th. On the 18th minutes, okay. Okay, budget discussion. I'm not even sure where we are at this point.
Well, you want me to just go ahead and tell you? about the-
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, so we talked last night about the EMA and E911 budgets. One of the things that came up was the console that we have in the 911 dispatch that we have to move. Now, my original thought, or I guess what I'd heard, was it was gonna be about 150,000 or 180,000 to move that to the new jail. In talking to Summer last night, we talked to, and her estimates, so there's 3 entities that are part of that move. One is Motorola, which they're estimating about $100,000 for their part. Then, I'll get this wrong too. I don't know, it's Tony's here, he can help me. Is it, what's the initials on the, is it ETN? Or not ETN, ESN?
For the internet?
Yeah, for
ICN.
ICN, okay. And I think that, she said that was 77,000.
Okay,
And then there's another group and it was like 45,000.
okay.
And
So, yeah, Tony, I know she was gonna check with you and I know, because we talked about it and we weren't.
I had state inspection this morning, so I haven't had a chance to talk to Summer, but.
Okay.
She sent me the estimate that was around 70,000. And what ICN said at the time, that was their 15,000 foot view without actually visiting the site and seeing exactly the footage and everything.
Yep.
So they're waiting on the finalized construction documents from the architect. Those should be available later this week and go to the state building inspector for approval. And then I will get them to ICN after that, and we can solidify that number a little bit.
Okay.
They're also not aware, part of the bid package for one of our MEPs, actually the electrical contractor, was the running of conduit and hand pull boxes, which would be accessible to them. And I'm sure, I haven't got a call back from ICN yet, but I'm sure that cost, that $70,000 estimate included having to trench in all that fiber optic from 71 to the building site.
Okay.
And that would already be part of what is paid.
So some of
part
the
that
costs might
contract.
be in the bid.
So I think that estimate is inflated at this time,
Okay.
but I
Yeah,
haven't
the
I
worry
haven't been
really
able to
don't
dial everything down.
Yeah,
yet,
the worry was that it wasn't in part of the bid, so the 16.7 didn't cover the move of the console to the jail.
Yeah,
The new jail, so.
I don't know, I
And I
got a chance to
can
talk to
remember.
Charles a little bit this morning, or
Yeah.
Sheriff McCall a little bit this morning about it. But I think that 100,000 estimate from Motorola, from what I understand, is gonna be a pretty solid number.
Okay.
I think the other two figures that you quoted, we can work with that, and a lot of that is already included.
Okay.
In the initial contracts that you guys have already.
So we really don't
authorized
know
for
at
the
this
jail,
point.
so
Yeah,
It's
okay.
still kind of up in the air right now.
Okay.
Yep, so yeah, so the concern was, if we're adding to the overage already before.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, and we didn't, and when we worked out the budget from, for the jail project for that 16.7 million, we didn't have numbers from Motorola yet or from ICN. So we understand that some of those, that's part of what that contingency that we're holding back, that will be available also. So it's not necessarily that, the 215,000 or whatever your three figures you gave, that would all need to come out of EMA's budget or out of somewhere else. Some of that can and is expected to be absorbed within the current
The jail budget,
the
yeah.
the current construction budget.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I have a little bit of good news too, and you've probably seen it, Tony. We've had some, in signing some of the new things that are coming through as far as payment is concerned, we've had some change orders that have come through to the tune of about 152,500 that have come down. So we're looking,
Yeah.
we're coming down a little.
Gaining ground.
We're gaining ground.
So in part of those change orders are, the contractors are at the point where they have to submit their product lists.
Yes.
And their finite pricing on that for approval with the architect. And that's where, and we still expect to see some more savings realized through that process.
Okay.
Yes. And in talking with Maggie this morning, and the premiums that we're getting on the sale of the bonds, like the premium discount that we got this morning was 220,000. We got about the same in the first sale of the bonds. So that's an extra $450,000 there. So, we're not looking as bad as we were looking before.
Okay.
So, let's not jump the gun here and look really bad. So,
So the short answer, Todd, is we do need to plan for some added expenses
Yeah.
that may not be covered by it, but I don't think it will be.
But it's not as
I don't
bad
think it
as-
will be as large
as we thought.
as what we initially,
Yeah.
as large as what was discussed last night
Right.
during the budget meeting.
Right,
Okay.
so I think
Thank
we're,
you.
I think we're looking good.
Yeah, okay.
So,
Well, and then
It's-
that
it's not near.
brings me to my other question that I asked to be on the agenda was, my concern was, you know, if where we're at with the budget is depending on, you know, we had talked about being able to cover any overages with local option sales tax. And so then that's what I was concerned about, because I didn't want, if we could avoid that at all cost, I think that's the best way to go, and not use local option sales tax and just try to stick to the 16.7 that the taxpayers agreed on and they voted on. And so that's where I was concerned with with our budget and how
Right.
we're,
right.
you know,
And
how
that
those
would,
numbers are
that
looking.
would be nice, but there was money put back for that particular purpose if we needed it. It
That's the
was
contingency.
as a
But we haven't even
contingency for
started
the
building
jail.
yet.
No, but it was put back in local option originally. There was money in there if we needed it. There was money put back.
When was that done?
It was back, it was in there. If you looked at the local option last year,
Yeah.
there was money put back in there. So it was there. I don't know that I can find it in my pile here or not, but
So was that voted on to put that money back in there?
it was in there. It was in the local option last year. There was money put in, capital projects for the county, there was money put in, and then there was just money in there that wasn't listed. I think it's just been a carryover. So, a carryover from past that wasn't necessarily in the local option spending. So, anyway, it's
It had to been
there.
voted on. It had to be voted on, because you just can't hide money. so-
Yeah, no, it's just,
It had to be
it's just
somewhere.
in,
Yeah,
it's
that's
just,
what I was wondering, 'cause I
it's
don't
just,
remember
it's
voting on
just
it the last 2
in the
years to
balance.
do that,
It's in the
but-
balance that was there.
So we set it for capital projects.
Yeah,
It's just part of that local option sales
Yeah.
tax.
yeah,
and
it was
that,
just in there,
that can be
in
used
the
for
balance,
anything.
yeah,
Doesn't,
yeah. So it was in there, but it just wasn't budgeted for anything. So it was put back, but it wasn't budgeted.
and how
as I
much is
understand
that?
it. I don't know. I mean, there's money in there. There's money in the local option tax fund that had been set back in other years that wasn't budgeted last year or the year before.
Well, I still
It's just
think
there.
we need to
Yeah.
try to get to the 16.7.
And we can do that, yeah.
And
I
still,
mean, we're trying.
Yeah. and-
So, yeah.
And we need to try to stick to what the citizens
And that's
voted on.
fine, but I haven't heard any complaints. People still want the jail
I've heard
built.
lots of complaints.
So, well,
So I don't know.
I haven't heard anybody say, they just say they want the jail built. So anyway, whatever we do. So anyway, yeah. I have another thing that I wanted to bring up. We talked about, in the conservation budget, the bid for the pickup. The one sold, did we want to move ahead with the one bid?
Did we ever, so I replied back about maybe reaching out to, the Shore, is it Shores?
It's
That was
Shores,
more
43,
expensive
the
than
43,340.
Red Oak or up at Red Oak.
We don't typically want to buy out
I
of
know,
county.
but I didn't know if Shores would come down in price.
You get free
They would
oil
match it.
changes,
Yeah,
and you get,
I'm sure you get free oil changes in Red Oak too, but that's something they give up. all
what
the
was
time.
the other thing, Kristen? Oil changes and something else,
I would think Shores would match the price.
but we could try, I
I mean,
mean,
just ask them, and the worst thing
Yeah.
they're gonna say is no,
yeah,
and, you know.
we can try that. But, yeah,
But my other thing is, how does that fit into the budget? And
well, it's actually, I think we left it
What is she
in, we left
driving
it
right
in the
now?
budget.
do you remember what she said? What
No.
she has for a truck now?
It's an old one.
Is it?
It was a really old one. I
couldn't remember.
Did I bring
I
it?
thought she gave us a list, but I couldn't find it.
I don't think we had a list, but I don't know what I
I
wrote.
think I wrote it down here.
I think I wrote it
What
somewhere.
number was it?
Here.
Conservation.
I just had old. It has 140,000 miles on it. All of their vehicles are old. I can tell you that. There's nothing new that they have. I wish we'd asked Mark when he was here. Do you want me to text her?
No, you don't have to.
Anyway.
I can reach out to her if I have questions, I guess,
Yeah,
too.
I can reach out to her and ask her if she'll ask Shores if they'll come down.
Yeah, I mean, I would reach out at least, and then,
Okay.
you know, I guess my other thing is, do we have to buy a new one? Or is there other things out there that we could get that are newer, but yet not brand new, or? I'm just worried about the budget.
Yeah.
And
we did leave that in her budget, I believe. It's in there.
Is it in her budget?
It's in there, still budget. It's still in her budget. And Charles, the sheriff did say that they have a bar, a light bar.
Yeah.
And some other equipment that could be used. So that would help with the budget also. So, whatever. I think, okay, the other thing was we needed to, Kristen, what did we need to do tonight just to get the thing going for next week for the postcard?
We have the House File 718 mailing we have to mail out, so we need to just discuss the levy dollar amounts. Now, they can always go down from what we discussed tonight. So if we say a number,
As far as the levy rate,
it just can't go up from what we discussed tonight when I put it in the letter. Does that make sense?
yeah.
Yep.
So if we leave the levy the same as it is currently,
I would still like to, to see, so at our current, yeah, if we left the levy and didn't change anything, where does that put us if we continue to talk 3.75 for the added raises or salaries?
That
Yeah,
gives us plenty of space.
it still gives us plenty of space.
Yes.
So then when we get down to the final, then we can lower the levy or whatever.
if we need to. But we have to meet this March 5th. We have to get this in there. The rural levy is kind of scary, but comparing it to last year's, I didn't realize it was as low as it was last year.
Where are those pages at?
Well, and I can move one of the deputies.
Yeah, back to general,
To the general,
and that'll change it a little bit.
and that way we would still be able to keep the levies the same as we did last year.
Yeah. When I compared last year's, I pulled out my last year's and compared, we had, normally the state likes us to keep like a 25% carryover. That's just a normal balance, fund balance. And right now, the ending fund balance in the rural is like 5.2%, which is not good. Last year it was 17 point, where is it? 17, it was 17%. 17.82%. So if we move one thing, we'll see where it comes out.
I know I sent you that spreadsheet that had everything from rural basic in it.
Yeah, yes, and I didn't see anything we could really move except the one, because everything else needs to be in there. in the rural, there's not, yeah, the rural is definitely rural. General stuff is a little bit different, but not the rural. So I would say that we leave all the levies the same. Unless we upped the rural levy. And the rural levy has been the same for,
And if you do up the rural levy today, we can still lower it.
Lower it,
This is
right.
only, this is what we'll put
Yep.
in the letter, but we can still lower it. I just want to make sure that's.
the rural levy is what, 2.96?
2.94.
2.94.
And you said you weren't going to move a deputy now to rural basic?
I can take one from real basic and see what
Put
that
it
does
back
to the
in,
numbers.
put it back in general.
Put it back into the
Oh.
general. And I talked that over with Kim today at the sheriff's office.
We could move rural basic to $3, which wouldn't make a lot of difference, but it might help a little. And then we could always lower it back. There's just not a lot of give and take in rural. The rural basic, the biggest part in rural basic is the transfer into secondary road. That's the biggest thing. And that has to be. We have to transfer at least 75% into, that might change that if we do that too. It would change it.
Remember, I did change that already.
But if we change the levy, then that would change that too.
Oh, it would.
Yeah. So I'm not sure that would make any difference. So we might as well leave it the same. I'd say probably just leave it. And hope we survive. It's been low, but I don't know.
Is there a way to get the total revenue and total expenditures for the county of what we're?
That's what she sent us. That's what this.
I didn't get that. I don't know where you got that from. Yeah, I don't.
I emailed it to all three.
Yeah. She sent it on February the 19th to all of us.
Look through.
Attached to the budget fund balance worksheets.
Attached. Oh, it was down below. Okay. And this other thing is just what you handed us tonight, the attachment. I'm trying to zoom in to see it. So sheriff and
No, she just sent the newer sheets evidently.
The first report, the budget expenditure worksheet that I put on that email shows everything that's coming out of rural basic, just so that you had an idea of everything.
okay.
Anyway, we just need to give Kristen an idea. So whether we want to stay the same or change it.
I suggest stay the same.
Okay. I would say probably stay the same also.
Okay. And like I said, we could always lower it if we can do that, right? Okay. So did you second it, or do I need a second?
I'll make a motion.
You made a motion. Did you second it, Judy?
No, I didn't second it.
Oh, you just agreed.
Just agreed.
Just agreed.
Okay. All right, I'll second that we leave the levy the same
For right now.
for right now.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. Well, for right now, we'll just leave it all the same.
That way she can make her March 5th deadline.
She can get the March 5th deadline and move forward, yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what's the, is it, is it April 17th? Is that the whole?
April 30th is the end.
30th is the end
Yeah.
of the budget?
Yeah.
That we have to have it all finalized?
Right,
Okay.
right, but we have to get the March,
But I still have to enter all of that in, so we.
Right, so
Yeah.
the March, yeah,
the
the
March
March
5th
5th
has
is
to
the
do the
levy.
postcard.
Okay,
Get everybody, the cities and everybody have to get it in, so the information goes to the state, and then the postcard
Yeah.
goes out, and then, yeah, then we have to get our final budget done, and everything has to be, then we have to have our budget hearing.
We're entering everything in for townships.
Yeah.
right,
And then the cities, we usually enter it in, but this year they've changed it, they're having the cities do it. So
Yeah.
okay.
And there's another fly in the ointment too, because as you saw, the assessor is having issues,
Right,
and because the newspaper is having issues. And I don't know what's gonna happen because the Department of Management isn't accepting any, they're not making any exceptions. So if we can't get anything published in the newspaper,
just so those that don't know what's happening.
the newspaper is being held hostage.
Newspaper got hacked.
Yeah,
So
the-
they are not able to publish right now. So they are working through that issue. So that's what's happening with the assessor, is he is not able to publish. We have to have the 10 days he has to publish before the hearing.
Yeah, the newspaper got hacked. They're trying to hold them hostage to pay a big fine or big,
And unfortunately, that's the only paper we have.
yeah, we only have one paper now. So it's not a good thing. So anyway. And the Department of Management will not accept a date. Yeah,
yeah.
that has to be published. So anyway, yeah. Anyway, okay. So is that enough budget discussion for tonight?
Yeah, and then I guess, will we have to have meetings next week or not on anything? I'm just letting you know, evenings would be better for me next week if we have to have a meeting.
Like 4 o'clock or later?
5 o'clock or later would be better. I'll make the supervisor meeting work obviously at 4.
Yeah, okay.
But if we have to have a budget meeting, that would I'd appreciate
Okay.
that, but
Okay. 5 o'clock or later, okay.
yeah, if we have to have one.
Okay.
I didn't know, I just wanted to let you know.
I think if we can get something done with, I mean, if we can figure out where we are, we'll check on the vehicle. I'll talk to Michelle. We'll try to figure out where we are with the budget, what we want to do.
Does the vehicle, since you're saying it's already in your budget?
It's in the budget, if we want to leave it in the budget.
Do we need to vote on the vehicle before it's purchased?
This fiscal year, Judy?
Huh? It's in the budget for this year. Yeah, I mean, not for.
For next.
It's for next year. Yeah. Yeah, it's in for next year.
So so I'm asking, do we need to vote to approve a vehicle?
It
or
said
can
it would
she
take,
just-
it said it would take 12 weeks to get it. And I don't know what her budget has in it now, whether she could get it this year or what, I don't know. I guess I'd ask JD for some further confirmation on his equipment. And we don't always just say, yes, you can get all this equipment.
Right,
So I think
'cause
we
we
need
usually-
some further discussion on that.
Okay.
And I had asked him for a list, and I think he sent it to everybody. I would like to see his equipment. I did talk to him. And I think we can take his spreadsheet. He told me tonight he did a different spreadsheet. I would like to see it done by the equipment rather than all mixed up. Because I count 9
Side dumps?
Yeah.
Or dump trucks?
I count
Or
nine,
just-
9 of them, whatever he wants
Yeah. Oh,
to buy 2 of, I see 9 on there now.
okay.
And I'm looking, and the one he wants to replace are later purchased ones where there are older ones. And I'm just, I guess I have more questions.
Okay.
So we don't always approve all of the
Right.
equipment,
Yep.
nor all the
No.
Amounts.
Well, I
So,
think it's nice though to come talk to the board
Yeah.
before big purchases.
Exactly.
So we can at least,
and we don't have to approve that total amount either.
right,
And we also gave him all that ARPA money, so we don't always have to approve the total amount. So we can do all of that too, so, Anyway, further discussion is always good, so.
Okay.
So you'd rather have a 5 o'clock meeting next week?
if, I can make the board, or the
4
supervisor
o'clock?
meeting, I can make that work.
Okay,
I
so,
just,
so
if
next
we, if
Tuesday
we
at
have a
4 o'clock.
special meeting
Okay,
sometime.
so
that we
next
have-
Tuesday at
yeah.
4 will work?
Yes,
Okay,
that'll be
so
fine.
we'll plan on meeting next Tuesday at 4, if that's okay.
Yep,
All right, so we don't confuse everybody. Okay. And then if we need anything after that, we can do that. Okay?
appreciate it.
Okay. If we're done for tonight, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, we'll adjourn at 5:26. Thank everybody for coming.